Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to speak about something that holds the power to shape our lives, our decisions, and our future. Our mind. We often talk about training our bodies, improving our fitness, and building our physical strength. But how often do we talk about training our minds? The human mind is the most advanced instrument known to mankind. It's capable of analyzing complex data, experiencing profound emotions, imagining alternate realities, and creating remarkable innovations. While machines can calculate and perform tasks faster than we can, they still lack the subtlety, adaptability, and creativity of the human mind. Every breakthrough in science, art, technology, and philosophy began in the mind of a person who dared to think beyond what was previously accepted. Our thoughts drive our actions, and our actions shape our reality. This is why understanding and training the mind should be regarded not just as a personal choice, but as a vital responsibility. From the moment we wake up to the moment we sleep, our mind is at work. It interprets our environment, filters information, creates narratives, and constructs our view of reality. Even when we are not consciously directing it, the mind is active, analyzing, dreaming, worrying, or planning. It is constantly processing both internal thoughts and external stimuli. And yet, despite its 24/7 activity, many people go through life without ever pausing to understand how their minds actually function or how to guide it toward healthier, more productive directions. The mind determines how we perceive challenges. To one person, a setback may appear as a sign of failure. To another, it may be seen as a valuable lesson or even a stepping stone to success. What makes the difference? It isn't intelligence or education, it's mindset. And mindset is not fixed. It can be shaped, molded, and improved with intentional practice. Just as physical training improves the body's strength and endurance, mental training enhances the mind's clarity, resilience, and adaptability. Our beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions, all of which are formed and stored in the mind, directly influence our behavior. A person who believes they are capable, even if they face obstacles, will approach problems with a solution-oriented mindset. On the other hand, someone who has internalized doubt and fear may retreat or sabotage their own progress. These internal dialogues happen quietly, often beneath our awareness, but they are powerful. Without training, our minds can become breeding grounds for negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and emotional reactivity. Moreover, the mind plays a crucial role in our emotional well-being. Emotions do not just happen to us, they arise in response to how our minds interpret events. For example, two people can experience the same situation, say receiving constructive criticism, and have entirely different emotional reactions based on how their minds frame the experience. One might feel motivated while the other feels attacked. This disparity shows that mental patterns, not external circumstances, often dictate how we feel. Another often overlooked aspect is the mind's influence on physical health. Research has shown that chronic stress, anxiety, and unresolved trauma can manifest physically, weakening the immune system and contributing to a range of diseases. The mind and body are not separate entities, they exist in constant dialogue. Training the mind to manage stress, reframe thoughts, and cultivate peace has direct benefits for the body as well, improving sleep, energy levels, and overall well-being. Creativity and innovation also stem from the mind. Every invention, book, piece of music, or solution to a problem originates in thought. But creativity isn't limited to the arts or sciences. It's part of everyday life. Whether you're solving a conflict at work, making a major life decision, or finding a new way to express love to someone you care about, your mind is your primary tool. When trained properly, it becomes a source of endless ideas and insight. When neglected, it becomes clouded by fear, confusion, or indecision. Ultimately, everything we hope to achieve, whether it's personal fulfillment, career success, meaningful relationships, or a sense of purpose, begins in the mind. It all starts with thought. And if thought is the seed, the mind is the soil. A fertile, well-tended mind will grow ideas that flourish. A neglected mind, overrun with weeds of distraction and self-doubt, will struggle to produce anything of value. This is why the mind is not only our most powerful tool, it's the foundation for everything we are and everything we hope to become. Despite its central role in our lives, mental training remains one of the most neglected aspects of personal development. From a young age, we are taught to value physical appearance, academic achievement, and material success. Schools emphasize memorization and standardized testing. Social media glorifies physical fitness and beauty standards. Yet, very little attention is paid to helping individuals develop mental discipline, emotional awareness, or inner calm. This oversight leaves many people equipped with knowledge or skills, but lacking the mental tools necessary to manage stress, regulate emotions, or bounce back from adversity. The neglect of mental training is partly due to the invisible nature of the mind itself. You can see a fit body, you can measure academic scores, but how do you measure mental clarity, focus, or peace of mind? These qualities are not immediately visible, which leads many to underestimate their importance. Unfortunately, it is often only in times of crisis, when people feel overwhelmed, burnt out, or emotionally unstable, that they begin to recognize the critical need for mental resilience. By then, however, the foundation for healthy thinking patterns may not be strong enough to support them effectively. In contrast to the emphasis placed on physical health, mental health and training are frequently stigmatized or misunderstood. Taking time for self-reflection, therapy, meditation, or journaling is sometimes seen as a luxury or even a sign of weakness. There is a lingering misconception that only those who are broken need to work on their minds. This belief keeps people from proactively strengthening their mental faculties, when in reality, mental training is beneficial and necessary for everyone, regardless of their circumstances or emotional state. Another reason mental training is overlooked is that it requires patience and consistency. While the effects of physical exercise can be seen within weeks, mental improvements are often subtler and develop gradually over time. It takes effort to build new habits, rewire negative thought patterns, and become more self-aware. In a fast-paced society driven by instant gratification, many people abandon mental training before they see results. They assume it's not working, when, in fact, transformation is already happening quietly beneath the surface. Cultural norms also play a role in this neglect. In many societies, success is defined by external achievements, wealth, status, and accomplishments, rather than internal well-being. People are encouraged to chase goals without ever questioning the mindset behind those goals. Without intentional mental training, this can lead to chronic dissatisfaction, comparison, and emptiness, even among those who appear to be thriving externally. The focus on doing overshadows the importance of being, and this imbalance creates deep mental and emotional strain over time. In workplaces, schools, and even homes, the lack of emphasis on mental training can result in environments where people are physically present but mentally exhausted or disengaged. Productivity is celebrated, but psychological well-being is ignored. People push through fatigue, suppress emotions, and ignore warning signs because they don't know how or don't feel they are allowed to care for their minds. Over time, this leads to increased burnout, anxiety, and disconnection, all of which could be mitigated with regular mental maintenance. Moreover, the tools for mental training are often simple and accessible: breathing exercises, mindfulness practices, gratitude journaling, reflective reading, yet they are rarely integrated into our daily routines. We brush our teeth every day to protect our physical hygiene, but we don't practice the same discipline when it comes to our mental hygiene. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day of focused mental training can lead to significant improvements in clarity, patience, and emotional regulation. The issue isn't access, it's awareness and prioritization. When mental training is neglected, we become vulnerable to the pressures of life. Without awareness, our minds absorb every distraction, every fear, and every limiting belief without filter. We become reactive instead of responsive, controlled by our emotions rather than in control of them. The mind, left untrained, can become chaotic, anxious, and self-defeating. But when we choose to prioritize mental discipline, we begin to unlock a strength that empowers every area of our lives, even if it goes unnoticed by others. Mental strength is not something we are born with, it is something we develop through consistent and intentional practice. Just like a person cannot build muscles by merely thinking about exercise, no one becomes mentally strong simply by wishing to be. It is a skill, cultivated through repetition, struggle, patience, and reflection. This truth often gets overlooked because mental strength is internal. It doesn't always show visible progress like physical transformation does. But make no mistake, it is developed the same way through effort, challenge, and time. At its core, mental strength involves the ability to control your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in the face of adversity. That kind of control does not appear overnight. It is the result of small daily decisions, choosing discipline over comfort, awareness over distraction, and courage over fear. These decisions are not always dramatic. In fact, they often take place in quiet moments, choosing to finish a difficult task instead of procrastinating, pausing before reacting in anger, or redirecting a negative thought towards something constructive. Each of these choices is a form of mental training. One of the greatest misunderstandings about mental strength is the belief that it means suppressing emotion or toughing it out all the time. In reality, mentally strong individuals are not those who feel nothing, but those who are able to feel deeply without being controlled by those emotions. They acknowledge fear, but still move forward. They recognize stress, but don't let it overwhelm them. They embrace discomfort, knowing that it is a part of growth. Building this level of emotional agility takes persistent inner work. Mental strength is also about learning how to be consistent even when motivation fades. Anyone can feel inspired on a good day, but true growth happens on the days when you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged, and yet still choose to show up. Whether it's sticking to a personal goal, maintaining a meditation practice, or managing your thoughts during conflict, the real development happens when it's hard, not when it's easy. Every time you practice, you reinforce a mental pathway. And over time, those pathways shape your character. Another key aspect of mental strength is resilience, the ability to recover after setbacks. Life is unpredictable. No matter how skilled, intelligent, or careful we are, we will all face disappointment, rejection, or failure at some point. Mental strength gives us the power to bounce back, not by ignoring the pain, but by learning from it and choosing to move forward. This resilience is only built by going through challenges, reflecting on them, and using them as fuel for personal growth. Each recovery is a form of mental push-up. Discipline plays a vital role in this process. Many people assume that mentally strong individuals are simply more gifted or lucky, but in most cases, they are simply more disciplined. They set boundaries. They control what they consume mentally, emotionally, and physically. They say no when needed and prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. These behaviors are developed through practice, not through sudden inspiration. Mental strength is about repetition, structure, and mindful choices made again and again. Mental strength also involves becoming familiar with discomfort. Growth does not happen in a comfort zone, whether it's trying something new, admitting a mistake, or sitting in silence with your own thoughts. Training your mind requires you to stretch beyond what feels easy or safe. This doesn't mean reckless behavior or constant pressure. It means gently and consistently pushing yourself to expand your limits. With time, your comfort zone begins to grow, and with it, your confidence and courage. Lastly, mental strength thrives in an environment of reflection. Practice alone is not enough. You must also take the time to evaluate what is working and what is not. Journaling, meditating, or simply spending time in quiet thought helps to solidify the lessons learned through experience. Reflection turns activity into wisdom. Without it, we may continue repeating the same patterns without growth. But each challenge becomes a stepping stone, each mistake becomes a lesson, and each day becomes part of the training ground for a stronger, sharper mind. When people think of improving their minds, they often imagine complex systems or life-altering routines. However, the truth is that mental fitness is primarily built through simple, consistent habits practiced over time. These habits may seem small in the moment, but they have a cumulative effect that strengthens our mental clarity, emotional balance, and cognitive flexibility. Much like brushing your teeth protects your dental health, daily mental practices protect and sharpen your psychological well-being. The beauty of simple habits is that anyone can start them, regardless of age, background, or schedule. One of the most effective mental fitness habits is daily mindfulness or meditation. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day of focused breathing or present moment awareness can significantly reduce stress, improve concentration, and increase self-awareness. Meditation trains the mind to observe rather than react, creating a mental buffer between stimulus and response. This small shift in awareness can transform how we handle conflict, setbacks, and even day-to-day frustrations. Though meditation may seem passive, it is one of the most powerful forms of mental resistance training. Another underrated but transformative habit is gratitude journaling. Taking time each day to write down a few things you're grateful for shifts the mind away from scarcity and toward abundance. It helps rewire your brain to focus on what's going right rather than what's going wrong. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, it means acknowledging blessings even amid struggle. Gratitude changes your internal dialogue, strengthens optimism, and improves emotional regulation. It's a small act, but one with profound impact over time. Reading deeply and regularly is also a cornerstone habit for mental fitness. In a world of quick scrolls and shortened attention spans, the ability to concentrate on a single narrative or idea is a skill in itself. Reading exercises the brain, enhances vocabulary, builds empathy, and improves focus. Whether fiction or non-fiction, books provide a space for reflection and insight. They allow you to challenge your thinking, expand your perspective, and engage intellectually without external pressure or distraction. Journaling thoughts and emotions is another simple practice that pays significant dividends. It serves as a mirror for your internal state, helping you identify patterns in your thinking and behavior. Writing out your feelings can create clarity and ease mental clutter, giving shape to what otherwise might feel like chaos. This habit helps you become more aware of your triggers, aspirations, fears, and goals. Over time, it trains the mind to become more introspective, organized, and emotionally intelligent. One often overlooked habit that builds mental fitness is the deliberate use of silence or solitude. In modern life, we are constantly surrounded by noise, literal and digital. Creating space in your day for quiet reflection, even for a few minutes, allows the mind to reset. Solitude strengthens your internal compass by giving you a chance to hear your own thoughts without external influence. This silence isn't about being idle. It's about intentional stillness. In that space, insight emerges, creativity flows, and mental fatigue begins to fade. Physical exercise, though typically associated with bodily health, is another key contributor to mental fitness. The mind and body are deeply interconnected. Regular physical activity, walking, stretching, running, or dancing, boosts mood, increases mental clarity, and reduces anxiety. Exercise releases endorphins and helps regulate hormones like cortisol, which can otherwise lead to chronic stress if left unmanaged. Even a short daily walk in nature can do wonders for both your mind and body. Finally, limiting mental junk food, the constant consumption of negativity, meaningless scrolling, or toxic information, is a powerful yet simple habit. Just as a diet of processed food damages the body, a diet of unchecked digital noise harms the mind. By curating what you expose yourself to, news, conversations, media, you begin to take control over your mental environment. Being mindful about what you consume and how often you unplug creates space for focus, peace, and thoughtful engagement with the world around you. Clarity and focus are two of the most valuable mental assets a person can possess, yet they are also among the most difficult to maintain in today's fast-paced, overstimulated world. Every day we are bombarded by distractions, notifications, emails, conversations, advertisements, and the constant noise of modern life. Amid this chaos, it becomes increasingly difficult to think clearly, prioritize effectively, or stay centered on what truly matters. A trained mind, however, cuts through that noise. It operates like a sharp lens, bringing everything into focus and filtering out what is irrelevant or unhelpful. Clarity of mind begins with awareness. Most people are unaware of how cluttered their mental space has become until they experience moments of silence or solitude. When the mind is trained, it becomes easier to recognize internal distractions, the endless to-do lists, emotional overreactions, self-doubt, and irrational fears, and distinguish them from actual priorities. Clarity doesn't mean knowing everything. It means understanding what's important, what isn't, and what needs your energy right now. This mental discipline creates space for more thoughtful decision-making and reduces the mental fog that leads to procrastination and anxiety. Focus, the companion of clarity, is the ability to give sustained attention to a single task or idea. It is increasingly rare in a world addicted to multitasking. Yet, the most successful thinkers, creators, and leaders all share this trait, the ability to concentrate deeply for extended periods of time. This is not a talent. It is a trained skill. A focused mind is not easily swayed by every interruption. It knows how to return to center, how to ignore the urge for instant gratification, and how to sit with one thing long enough to understand it fully or complete it well. Mental training, particularly through practices like mindfulness and meditation, strengthens both clarity and focus by teaching the brain to become more intentional. These exercises improve the brain's ability to manage attention, to notice when it has wandered, and to gently bring it back. Over time, this attention muscle becomes stronger. Just as physical workouts improve strength and stamina, these mental workouts improve your ability to hold your thoughts steady, analyze them with care, and redirect them when they drift into distraction or negativity. Another powerful result of mental clarity is improved emotional regulation. When the mind is cluttered or chaotic, emotions often take control, leading to impulsive reactions or poor decisions. But when your mind is clear, you can observe your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. You begin to respond instead of react. You ask deeper questions. Why am I feeling this? Is this feeling based on fact or assumption? These questions open the door to self-mastery, giving you a sense of calm even in emotionally charged situations. With focus and clarity, goals become more attainable. Many people struggle not because they lack talent or ambition, but because they cannot sustain direction. They bounce from one idea to the next, chasing inspiration without finishing what they started. A trained mind, however, moves with purpose. It knows how to plan, how to adjust course when necessary, and how to persist through discomfort. It filters out distractions and aligns your energy with your long-term vision. This alignment turns vague dreams into concrete actions and steady progress. Clarity also enhances communication. When your thoughts are organized and your purpose is clear, you are better equipped to express yourself, whether in writing, speaking, or decision-making. A trained mind avoids confusion and contradiction. It allows you to articulate ideas with confidence and to listen with full attention, which improves your relationships, both personally and professionally. People are naturally drawn to those who communicate with presence and intention because clarity is not just felt internally, it's shared outwardly. Lastly, focus and clarity give you a sense of peace. They minimize the inner noise that often leads to restlessness and unease. When your mind is trained, you don't feel the constant need to chase more, know everything, or be everywhere at once. Instead, you learn to be exactly where you are, fully engaged in the present moment. And in that presence, you gain insight, effectiveness, and calm. You move through life not frantically reacting, but calmly choosing. That is the quiet power of a focused and clear mind. Emotional resilience is the ability to recover from adversity, adapt to change, and maintain inner strength during challenging times. While some people may appear naturally resilient, the truth is that this quality is largely cultivated through consistent mental training. The human mind, when left untrained, can easily become a breeding ground for panic, fear, and negativity. But a trained mind learns how to manage emotional turbulence with steadiness. It becomes the anchor during emotional storms, allowing you to feel deeply without becoming consumed or paralyzed by those feelings. One of the foundational aspects of emotional resilience is self-awareness, and mental training sharpens this awareness. It helps you recognize what you are feeling in real time, instead of realizing it only after you've reacted poorly. Mindfulness practices, for example, train your brain to pause, observe, and identify emotions as they arise. This skill is critical because unacknowledged emotions often turn into stress, anxiety, or conflict. Through practice, you begin to name your emotions: frustration, disappointment, fear. And by naming them, you take away some of their control. Awareness creates choice, the choice to respond, not react. Another benefit of mental training is the ability to reframe negative experiences. Life is filled with unexpected hardships, loss, failure, rejection, betrayal. Without resilience, these moments can break a person's spirit. But a mentally trained individual learns how to shift perspective, to see challenges as opportunities, failures as feedback, and pain as part of growth. This doesn't mean ignoring the emotional impact of difficulties, but rather refusing to be defined by them. Resilience is not about pretending to be okay. It's about finding meaning even when things are not okay. Consistency in mental training also helps regulate emotional intensity. Emotions are powerful forces. They can drive action, strengthen bonds, or, when left unchecked, lead to impulsive decisions and self-sabotage. Through regular practices such as meditation, journaling, and breathing exercises, individuals learn to process emotions more effectively. They develop the patience to sit with discomfort without needing to escape it immediately. Over time, this builds emotional endurance, the ability to stay steady in discomfort without falling apart. Like a muscle, this endurance grows stronger the more it is used. Resilient people also tend to have a greater sense of self-control, and this is not accidental. Mental training creates distance between thought and action. You begin to understand that not every thought needs to be believed, and not every emotion needs to dictate behavior. When your boss criticizes your work, when a loved one disappoints you, or when life doesn't go as planned, a trained mind does not spiral into despair. It's recognized the emotion, allows it, and then chooses the next best step. This kind of inner discipline protects your peace and gives you strength under pressure. In addition to self-control, mental training builds empathy and emotional intelligence, which are essential components of resilience. The more aware you are of your own emotions, the more attuned you become to the emotions of others. This enhances your ability to navigate relationships during conflict or crisis. It allows you to support others without losing your own center. Emotionally resilient individuals tend to be better listeners, more compassionate leaders, and more patient partners. Their strength doesn't isolate them, it connects them more meaningfully to others. Another important aspect of resilience is the ability to bounce back from emotional exhaustion. Everyone faces moments of burnout, grief, or defeat. What separates the resilient from the broken is not the absence of pain, but the tools they use to recover. A trained mind knows how to retreat inward, recalibrate, and rebuild. Whether through solitude, journaling, therapy, or prayer, resilient people have mental routines that restore them. They don't stay down forever. Their habits act like an internal repair system, slowly stitching strength back into the fabric of their thoughts and beliefs. Finally, mental training fosters hope and optimism, which are vital to emotional resilience. This is not the naive belief that everything will go perfectly, but the grounded trust that even in difficulty, you have what it takes to endure and grow. Hope is a mental habit, just like fear. And when you practice gratitude, perspective taking, and positive self-talk regularly, you reinforce hope even in the face of uncertainty. A trained mind chooses faith over fear, process over panic, and learning over defeat. This inner optimism becomes the fuel that keeps resilience alive through every season of life. Investing in the mind is one of the most valuable and enduring choices a person can make. Unlike material possessions or fleeting achievements, the growth of your inner world continues to serve you throughout every stage of life. When you commit time, energy, and intention to training your mind, you create a foundation that supports not just your mental health, but your ability to evolve intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. This kind of growth is not tied to age or external success. It is continuous, personal, and deeply transformative. The mind is the command center of all human experience. It shapes how we interpret the world, how we communicate, and how we respond to every challenge and opportunity. By investing in mental development through reading, reflection, conversation, and learning, we enhance our capacity to think critically, solve problems creatively, and adapt with agility. Lifelong growth begins with the recognition that our current way of thinking is not the final version of who we are, but a starting point for who we can become. The mind is not fixed. It is expansive and adaptable, but only when nurtured. One of the most powerful benefits of investing in your mind is the way it fosters intellectual curiosity. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to explore. A trained mind becomes hungry for understanding, not just of facts, but of meaning, patterns, systems, and stories. It asks deeper questions and seeks connections between ideas. This curiosity becomes a lifelong fuel for growth, keeping you engaged with the world around you, open to new perspectives, and willing to evolve, even when it's uncomfortable. Mental investment also cultivates emotional maturity, which is essential for lasting growth. The more self-aware you become, the more you understand the influence of your thoughts, beliefs, and biases. This understanding leads to greater empathy, better relationships, and more intentional living. As you continue to invest in your inner life, you begin to catch yourself in limiting patterns, self-doubt, fear, judgment, and choose different responses. You learn to regulate your emotions, communicate with clarity, and navigate complex situations with wisdom. Emotional growth is a hallmark of a well-trained mind. Another aspect of lifelong mental investment is the development of adaptability. Life is full of uncertainty and change, and those who have trained their minds are more equipped to face the unknown with resilience and flexibility. Rather than resisting change, they explore it. Rather than fearing failure, they learn from it. A growing mind does not cling to comfort zones. It seeks out growth zones. This mental flexibility allows individuals to reinvent themselves as needed, whether it's changing careers, rebuilding after loss, or stepping into new roles and responsibilities. Investing in the mind also supports purpose-driven living. When your inner life is rich and well-developed, you are more likely to reflect on what truly matters. You ask questions like, what legacy do I want to leave? What values guide my decisions? What impact do I want to make in the world? The answers to these questions don't come from the surface. They emerge through ongoing introspection and learning. As your mind becomes more focused, more discerning, and more grounded, your life begins to align with deeper intentions. You don't just live by default, you live by design. Another profound benefit of mental investment is the cultivation of confidence rooted in competence. When you know you are constantly learning, growing, and evolving, you begin to trust yourself more. This confidence is not arrogance. It is the quiet assurance that comes from putting in the mental work. You begin to rely not just on talent, but on skill. Not just on instinct, but on informed intuition. A person who consistently trains their mind is prepared for opportunities, for obstacles, for leadership, and for change. Confidence becomes a byproduct of preparation. Lastly, investing in your mind contributes to longevity of relevance and contribution. In a world that is always evolving, socially, technologically, and culturally, those who continue learning stay engaged. They adapt to new trends, connect across generations, and bring fresh insight to old problems. This is how growth becomes lifelong, not a phase that ends with school, but a mindset that continues to generate value. Whether you're 25 or 75, your mind can continue to expand, contribute, and lead as long as you keep nurturing it. Mental investment does not age, it compounds. In a world that often demands speed and constant action, taking the time to train your mind may feel like a luxury, but in truth, it is a necessity. Your mind is the lens through which you experience every aspect of life. If that lens is cloudy with distraction, fear, or self-doubt, even the brightest moments can feel dim. But when your mind is clear, focused, resilient, and constantly evolving, you step into each day with greater purpose, clarity, and strength. Training your mind is not about achieving perfection, it's about choosing growth. It's about building habits that sustain you, cultivating awareness that grounds you, and investing in an inner life that guides you through every season of change. The real wealth of life is not just what we earn or own, but who we become along the way. And who you become is shaped, above all, by the quality and discipline of your thoughts. So make the time, guard it, value it. Whether it's through reading, reflection, mindfulness, or deliberate learning, commit to the quiet, steady work of mental growth, because when you train your mind, you don't just improve your thinking, you transform your living, and that transformation lasts a lifetime.